Good day, Nigeria. If you had told any political analyst during the fever pitch of the 2023 presidential election cycle that by the year 2026, the two most recognizable faces of the third force revolution would be facing each other down the barrel of a 5 billion naira defamation lawsuit, they would have told you to check your political sanity. Back then, the energy was messianic, the synergy was undeniable. You had Peter Obi, the frugal, statistic-wielding former governor of Anambra State, operating as a political vessel for millions of frustrated young Nigerians. And right beside him, you had Dr. Kenneth Okonkwo, the Nollywood veteran, the seasoned lawyer, the fiery orator who used his cinematic gravitas to defend the Labour Party's mandate on national television. They were the ultimate political tag team. One provided the numbers, the other provided the noise. But in the volatile theater of Nigerian politics, alliances are often written in disappearing ink. Today, the ultimate betrayal became institutionalized. The headlines didn't just break the internet, they tore through the fabric of the opposition landscape like a wildfire. Peter Obi has officially pulled off the gloves. Through his legal team, he has launched a massive, unprecedented 5 billion naira defamation suit against his former brother-in-arms, Kenneth Okonkwo. For a man like Peter Obi, whose entire brand is built on calculated calmness, turning the other cheek, and responding to insults by saying, "Go and verify," this lawsuit represents a massive psychological shift. This is no longer Obi the diplomat. This is Obi the combatant. When a man who routinely ignores mainstream political attacks decides to legally demand 5 billion naira from a former ally, it means an invisible line has been crossed. It means the allegation leveled against him were no longer just typical political mudslinging. They hit the core of his personal integrity and his international corporate standing. How did we get here? How did the brotherhood born in the trenches of the Independent National Electoral Commission Results Collation Center degenerate into a multi-billion naira courtroom brawl? To understand the anatomy of this fallout, we have to look past the sensational headlines of today and travel back to the era when these two men shared a singular vision for a new Nigeria. Let's take a detailed historical trip down the memory lane to reconstruct what this relationship used to look like before the pillars collapsed. In 2022, when Peter Obi decamped from the People's Democratic Party (PDP) to take over the relatively obscure Labour Party, mainstream politicians laughed. They called him a social media president. They said he had no structure. To survive, Obi needed more than just online followers. He needed intellectual gladiators who could dominate traditional media and translate internet hype into grassroots political legitimacy. Enter Dr. Kenneth Okonkwo. Okonkwo wasn't just any regular politician. He was a pioneer of modern Nollywood, famous for his iconic role as Andy Okeke in the 1992 cinematic masterpiece Living in Bondage. He understood how to capture the human imagination. More importantly, he was a trained lawyer who knew how to pick apart constitutional arguments. When Okonkwo left the ruling All Progressive Congress (APC) in July 2022, citing the party's Muslim presidential ticket as an unconscionable assault on national inclusion, his deflection to the Obi movement was treated as a massive moral victory. Whenever critics attack Obi's track record in Anambra, Kenneth would appear on national television networks like Arise News or Channels TV, armed with files and legal arguments, completely shutting down opposing spokespersons. He spoke with the conviction of a man who had found his true political savior. He famously declared that Peter Obi was the only leader capable of liberating Nigeria from the tight grip of systemic corruption. The bond between them went beyond formal press releases. They traveled together on private jets, shared hotel rooms during international consultations, and sat side by side during the agonizing days of the presidential election petition tribunal. Kenneth was there when the tears were shed. He was there when the strategies were drawn. He was trusted with the inner workings of the Obi political machine, and it is precisely became of this deep, historical assets that the subsequent betrayal became so devastating later. When an outsider attacks you, it is called politics. When a man who sat at your dinner table attacks you, it becomes existential threat. The breakdown of this brotherhood did not happen overnight. It began with the internal rot of the political vehicle they both rode into battle, the Labour Party. Following the controversial conclusion of the 2023 elections, the Labour Party transformed from a pristine sanctuary of hope into a standard, messy Nigerian political arena. A bitter, dirty war broke out for the soul of the party's national chairmanship, primarily centered around Julius Abure. Allegations of financial mismanagement, unauthorized party primaries, and high-level racketeering began to leak out of the National Working Committee. This was the exact moment Kenneth Okonkwo's ideological alignment began to fracture. As a lawyer, Okonkwo prided himself on absolute structural accountability. He looked at the leadership crisis and demanded a total scorched earth cleanup of the party. He expected Peter Obi, the leader of the movement, to step in with an iron fist, dissolve the embattled leadership, and preserve the moral purity of the Obidient brand. But Obi is a political chess player who operates on the principle of institutional diplomacy. Instead of publicly executioner styling his party executives, Obi chose a path of mediation, cautious legal processes, and behind-the-scenes reconciliation. To Kenneth Okonkwo, this cautious approach felt like a betrayal of the very principles they fought for. Okonkwo began to openly question whether Obi possessed the raw executive balls required to lead a complex nation like Nigeria if he couldn't even clean up his own house. In a series of increasingly bitter public statements, Kenneth declared that he could no longer defend a leader who chose to remain silent in the face of glaring institutional decay. The intellectual warrior had turned his weapons inward, and the fortress of the third force began to crack from within. Now, let us dissect the exact high-stakes allegations that turned this ideological disagreement into a 5 billion naira legal war. Peter Obi's statement of claim does not just accuse Kenneth Okonkwo of regular political criticism. It outlines a systemic campaign of character assassination that allegedly threatened Obi's global corporate reputation, his banking relationships, and his international standing as a symbol of integrity. According to sources close to the legal filings, the alleged defamation spans three major catastrophic areas. 1. The allegation of financial deception and double standards. Kenneth Okonkwo allegedly crossed from political commentary into personal destruction when he began making specific public regarding Peter Obi's financial structures. He allegedly implied that the frugal, transparent persona Obi projects to the public, the image of a man who travels light, saves public funds, and keeps his hands clean, is a meticulously manufactured corporate myth. Okonkwo allegedly made assertions regarding hidden offshore corporate assets, secret trusts, and personal enrichments that flew directly in the face of Obi's anti-corruption brand. For a man whose political capital is currency built on his reputation for absolute financial integrity, this wasn't just a critique, it was an attempt to pull the rug out from under his feet. 2. The allegation of secret alliances with the ruling class. In the hyper-polarized world of Nigeria opposition politics, the ultimate sin is working as a double agent. The script took a truly toxic turn when Kenneth Okonkwo allegedly accused Peter Obi of engaging in backdoor midnight negotiations with the very ruling establishment he publicly condemned. Okonkwo allegedly suggested that Obi's political decisions, his cautious approach to the Labour Party crisis, and his strategic silence on certain national issues were part of a coordinated, long-term plan to secure personal safety and future political concessions from the presidency. To the millions of young Obedients who viewed Obi as an uncompromising alternative to the traditional political class, This allegation was designed to portray him as a Judas who was secretly selling out their futures for a plate of political porridge. Thirdly, the systemic slandering of the family name. The final straw that broke Obi's legendary patience was the alleged extension of these attacks to his family name and his historic corporate entities. Okonkwo's public utterances allegedly began to loop in Obi's ancestry businesses, his international trade representations, and his family's financial footprint. In the legal world, there is a massive difference between saying a politician's policies are bad and saying a specific individual is running an illegitimate corporate enterprise. The moment Kenneth's rhetoric crossed that boundary, it ceased to be covered by the umbrella of political free speech. It became an actionable commercial thought, setting the stage for the massive 5 billion naira price tag. Let us now step back from the emotional drama of this broken brotherhood and analyze the cold, analytical realities of Nigerian jurisprudence. When Peter Obi demands 5 billion naira in a court of law, what is the actual probability of him walking out of that court with a victory? In Nigerian law, to successfully prove a civil case of defamation, the plaintiff's legal team must unprovably satisfy 3 strict monumental conditions. First, proof of utterance, verified audio, video, or signed print publications must prove the words were actually published or spoken by the defendant. Secondly, direct reference, clear identity connection, must prove the words directly referred to the plaintiff beyond any doubt. Thirdly, material damage, quantifiable loss of status, corporate or social injury, must prove the words lower the identity of the plaintiff in human estimation. Let us analyze how these conditions apply to this historic case. The first 2 conditions are relatively straightforward. Kenneth Okonkwo's statements are documented across the digital landscape. They exist in high-definition video archives, verified social media handles, and network broadcast tapes. There is no ambiguity about who said what, and there is absolutely no doubt that the subject of the commentary was Peter Obi. The real brutal legal trench warfare will be fought over the third condition, the defense of justification and fair comment. When Kenneth walks into that courtroom with his defense team, he isn't going to deny that he spoke those words. Instead, as a seasoned lawyer himself, he is likely going to wrap himself in the protective armor of a public interest defense. His legal team will argue that as a major stakeholder in the political movement and as a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, he has an inalienable constitutional protected right to critique, question, and analyze the character and conduct of a major public figure seeking the highest office in the land. Furthermore, Okonkwo might deploy the ultimate nuclear defense in the defamation law, the defense of truth. In a defamation trial, truth is an absolute bar to liability. If the defendant can prove that the allegations made are substantively true, the entire case crumbles, regardless of how damaging the statements were to the plaintiff's reputation. This turns the lawsuit into an incredibly dangerous double-edged sword for Peter Obi. By dragging Kenneth Okonkwo to court, Obi has opened up his entire financial history, his corporate assets, his internal political correspondences, and his private life to the discovery process of the law. Kenneth's lawyers will demand subpoenas, financial records, and internal party documents to prove their claims. The courtroom will no longer just be a venue of judgment. It will become a public excavation site where the deepest secrets of both men's political operations will be dragged into the sunlight. It is a high-stakes game of Lego chicken. Whoever blinks first loses everything. As we reach the final destination of this extensive investigation, we must look past the legal briefs and the 5 billion naira price tag to confront the devastating political consequences of this war. In the grand scheme of Nigerian history, who truly wins from this particular fallout? The answer is painfully simple: the ruling political establishment. For the leaders of the mainstream political class, This lawsuit is a magnificent gift wrapped in the premium gold foil. For years, they struggled to find a way to dismantle the potent moral authority of the Obidient movement. They tried using traditional propaganda, state crackdowns, and ethnic divisions, but the core base of the movement remains resilient. Now they don't have to lift a single finger. The very gladiators who built the alternative movement are systematically destroying each other on the public stage. Consider the profound psychological impact on the ordinary Nigerian youth. In 2023, millions of citizens poured their hope, their resources, and their safety into this alternative political alignment. They believed they were supporting a new tribe of leaders who were fundamentally different from the old. They believed they were supporting a new tribe of leaders who were fundamentally different from the old, self-destructive political class. They thought this was a brotherhood of principle. Today, that beautiful dream has been replaced by the ugly reality of a multi-billion naira defamation suit. The base is being forced to choose sides in a bitter, personal civil war between two men they once revered. One half is screaming that Kenneth Okonkwo is a disgruntled traitor who allowed personal ambitions to blind his loyalty. The other half is muttering that Peter Obi's aggressive legal action proves he is thin-skinned and intolerant of deep internal accountability. The ultimate casualty of this lawsuit is not Kenneth Okonkwo's bank account or Peter Obi's corporate reputation. The ultimate casualty is the collective hope of a generation. When the prophets of a new era turn their altars into battlefields, the congregation wanders away into total disillusionment. The third force revolution is actively bleeding its moral capital on the floor of the Federal High Court, and the road to the national liberation has never looked more treacherous. Thank you for watching this extensive documentary. This is a story that goes to the heart of loyalty, power, and fragile nature of political movements in our nation. Let us hear your analytical thoughts in the comment section below. Do you believe Peter Obi was justified in launching this historic 5 billion naira lawsuit to protect his integrity? Or should he have maintained his trademark diplomacy to preserve the unity of the opposition? Stay objective, keep analyzing, and may truth find its way through the shadows of our political landscape.